Hello, everyone, and I know that before I get into the chapter 995 of One Piece, the review part of it and breakdown, I just wanted to explain that it's been a while since I made a video, mostly because I was trying to have better recording equipment, and I think what I have now is more than sufficient and should be something that works better in the future. And I know everyone, that's the major complaint about my channel consistently has been a microphone. So I spent a pretty penny on a microphone to be able to actually, so people can hear what I say, I guess more clear. But anyways, that out of the way, now that I have better stuff to record, I have better thoughts, all that kind of stuff, so we can move forward with this. I also do want to say that I probably will be kind of rebranding the channel and making this part of it more blogs, and then having maybe either changing the name of this channel to making it more, just purely anime reviews, and then, because having two different, styles of videos, whether I do the VHS things or the anime, it doesn't make sense that they're on the same channel. So that's going to be something that's going to be coming in the next couple months, and I'm going to be having a schedule that's more consistent too, especially now that I work at Home Depot, which I'll make a video about that, which has really given me some more time. So anyways, to get that all out of the way, because I had to, I had to say something. Let's just move forward from that. And right off the bat, we're going to be getting a lot of these, we're not going to, the Capone beige thing is done, which is, I'm very thankful for a lot of different reasons. And now we have all these requests, and I actually like the requests because that's really where Oda actually gets to, use his artistic, kind of like techniques. And maybe it'd be nice to see, where, I don't know, Arlong is, it'd be kind of nice to just see him in a little, I guess a little, illustration. But, right off the bat, I think it's important that, other people have said this already, but the power scaling thing, and it's, I think Marco versus, Big Mom, and actually him being able to damage Prometheus, it's already been established with Brooks, so it's not a huge feat. It's not a huge big deal that he's able to do something to that level of I don't know I don't know what else. He's able to do it, and kind of scar, because I guess those flames are have an intense heat, right? So and she mentioned it later on, Big Mom does, about how being able to actually take on Marco, she needs souls. So I'm assuming that has to do with the fact that he can regenerate himself, and the only time we saw him take damage that I know that was significant was when he had the sea cuffs on, right? And because he had the sea cuffs on, when he went into the Akaino fight, or little skirmish, he was well more exhausted, but Akaino could not vaporize him. So I think it's pretty well known that Marco at this point is not to be messed with. He doesn't even know what his role is. It's kind of like Oda saying, I don't really know what I want Marco to do at the moment. But yeah, I think something that he could do that wouldn't be, too ridiculous, because if he helps Luffy, it's like, I don't know how I feel about that. But he specifically actually melted the ice around the, he could do that around the Oni thing. I think that would be a better way of, because if there's only one antidote, maybe Chopper can make antibodies later based off that antidote. But I think for the time being, Marco needs to do something, and this is something that's a lot better. And so I think the artwork in it is pretty, it's not amazing, but it's pretty damn good, too. So I like that the whole Perospero thing, and him about to, supposedly die. I don't know if Marco could, unless this is like some advanced hockey, Ryu thing from Pedro, and no evidence has pointed that he's able to do that. He has an 800 bounty, but I don't think he's that strong. And then we get this amazing panel. If you look on page, I think it's, page 4, with Carrot and Wanda. We haven't seen Wanda, in her Sulong form, and I'm glad that the other minks have Sulong forms, and it's not just Neko and Ino. I mean, we saw Carrot before, but I was kind of under the impression that maybe it was a Pedro thing, considering the only other person that could do Sulong at the time was Peckhams, and Peckhams was, again, someone related to Pedro, so I thought maybe it was just those three that knew how to do it. So I was very glad that, now we're getting Ino and Arashi and Nakamushi, and now, of course, we're getting Wanda, which is great. And I think they look good. I think, visually, Carrot in Sulong form is something I wish we always was just constant. I mean, I know that it's like the goofy character becomes really strong, that trope, but I absolutely adore Carrot in her Sulong form. It's probably one of my favorite, female characters in One Piece. And, it's, I wasn't really the biggest Pedro fan, but the fact is that she was able to get, a cut in against, Perospero is really awesome. And it's like one of those, relief things, like, that kind of thing. Like, she doesn't have to beat him necessarily. And I think she should, but maybe not for the time being, is what I'm saying for now. But that was a pretty good slash, and I just love how Perospero, from his point of view, he's like, well, this guy, I put him to the ground, he blew himself up, and now I'm the one dealing with the responsibilities. Like, to be honest, from his point of view anyways, yeah, I mean, he's actually getting pretty shafted. He's getting beat up left and right, and I kind of like it because he's such a creep. He reminds me of that creepy guy from, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with the covered wagon thing with the knives or whatever. And then we get, like, Apu being able to block, like, Zoro and Drake. And, I mean, I don't know if it's for comedic effect. I mean, I know we're not supposed to take a lot from it. And I know Apu's a pretty decent fighter, but, I mean, come on. That just stretches the imagination too much, It's hard to believe that he could block a 720-pound Phoenix, blast from Zoro nonetheless. I mean, considering how much damage that did to, say, Pika at Dressrosa, I mean, are you serious? I don't understand Apu's power levels. He just doesn't seem like that strong of a character. I mean, I know that he is somewhat, but, this is Zoro we're talking about. And Drake, ex-Drake, I have no idea why he's able to block them so well. He clearly has, some kind of advanced hockey or something, because that's the only way he can actually be, keeping up in this fight. But of course, Oda also has to keep him in this way as well, because he has to stay away from, that time limit of an hour has to make sense. So he does have to, not just give up the antibodies immediately to the Oni virus. And then Chopper gets it, and I think this is pretty great, because if the doctor gets it, then it's not like, because if it was in Udon, if Chopper had gotten that virus, it would have been like, oh shit, now what do we do? And so I like how this is a good scenario and a good a way for either Law or Marco to help Chopper out, because it's very, even though they're, Chopper's met a lot of doctors over the years, there has not been a lot of times he's teamed up with doctors, so it would be pretty interesting if he, I'd like for him to team up with Law to figure out an antibody or a way around this, but I don't even know where Law is at this point. And same with Hawkins and Kid and Killer. I mean, at this point, I don't know where any of the Supernova are really, what they're doing. I don't know if they're being stalled so they all head up at the either the top of the skull, but since we already were there, I think what's going to happen is the skull's going to collapse and all the floors aren't going to matter. And so Luffy, he'll be halfway up, and then all of a sudden he'll be like, oh shit, and then all the supernova will be there, and it'll be like, like that, I don't know, like that big climactic thing, That'll probably be the end of Act 3, too. That's my prediction so far. And then we get surprisingly, my favorite part of the chapter, too. I mean, that's not surprising enough, really. But the fact is that we get Ulti in page 1. And not only, the favorite brother and sister duo, we actually get them. And we get them back to the Usopp and Nami fight. I mean, I was surprised that we would actually be getting any of that. And, I mean, yet again, power scaling aside, I mean, should they have just knocked them out immediately? I mean, sure, I mean, but you have to remember that Usopp and Nami are very crafty people that, you can't just take them out immediately. And I've actually on Quora have answered a question like this before of how did Usopp take a 4-ton bat to the head? And in that post, I specifically explained that it's possible that either there's certain characters like Horizon that have taken a ton of damage before they died, and it should be noted that only people that are either royals or D's or people that are related heavily in the story have been able to take that much damage. And so it's possible that either he has some awakened haki that we're not aware of, or that he could possibly be a D, which, I mean, that could make sense considering there really isn't any other D's in the crew. I don't think we're going to add any. I think that would be a pretty interesting way of including somebody like that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying maybe that's why he's able to take so much damage so much, because Ulti messes him up. I mean, his skull is cracking, right? And I don't know how he's going to, unless Marco heals him, I don't know how he's going to do the rest of the Wano Onigashima skirmish. I mean, the Onigashima part, I feel like he's knocked out. Like, he can't go forward. And it really stinks because, seeing him snipe people, especially with Tama at the end of the chapter, what people were speculating about how he could, use Tama's Dango, devil fruit to their advantage would be great. But I only think that it's going to affect the gifters, right? It's not going to affect, I don't think, the Zoans. If it does affect the Zoans, what will probably happen is they'll freeze up, right? And if you think about it, even if Kaido froze up for even a second, that might be Kaido's fault against Luffy, is that he freezes up for like even, I don't know, 30 seconds. I could see something like that. So I think it's important that Tom is here now so that we have something like that. But the fact is they're bloodied already. They're trying their hardest. Usopp's actually doing pretty good in this fight. If it wasn't for the fact that, if it was a one-on-one, he actually would have won against Ulti. Like, not gonna lie, which is pretty insane. But then, of course, he gets decimated. And then we get this, like, phenomenal moment with Nami. And it's a callback earlier to when they were going to get captured, right, and get tortured. Death and torture isn't really the same thing. But I think Oda is going around the same vein of, what would you do in a scenario when it's life or death, and it's your life on the line or the Alliance? And both of them said during Act 2 that they would be like, oh, well, we would just give up the information immediately. And Usopp even says, yeah, lie and say that, Luffy's not going to become the Pirate King, right? And Ulti even says, you do that, and I won't kill you. And what ends up happening is she really remembers what her captain did and all this. And I think it's one of those beautiful panels because it's not only presented like the normal, oh, Luffy will become the Pirate King. It's more like, like she thinks about it for a second and thinks about all, what he's doing right now. And, what Usopp passed out, and kind of like doesn't look over, doesn't really think about anything. She just says, Luffy will, it's more like a relief, kind of like Luffy will become the Pirate King, because she cannot deny anything other than Luffy becoming the Pirate King at this point. There is no other options. They are out in the wind. They have to believe in one another on their dreams, And at this point, they're so far in that Nami cannot even fathom anyone else being the Pirate King. So I think that's more what it is. And it's just so beautifully presented, and it got me to tear up a bit because of the way that, it's presented, and she's so beat down and, like, bloody and crying, and it's just like, we haven't seen Nami or any Straw Hat defeated this badly in a while, and I'm glad that we are seeing it, because this is the new world. I mean, people should be defeated this badly. I hope Zoro and Sanji get something like this much of a struggle, but, maybe this is a good sign, I think. And then Tama shows up in the end with the dog from the first chapter of Wano. So that was pretty amazing. I don't know where we're going to leave off from here. And it's very frustrating because I know that in the next chapter 996, it won't it won't leave off on that beautiful moment. It'll be in a completely different place. It'll be with Luffy defeating more crappy gifters, and it's just like, I want more of the Nami thing right now. Like, how is that gonna, I don't know if Tom is gonna fight them, or if, maybe if the other Flying Six call him back and they're like, no, you gotta get back here or something. So, not exactly sure where that's gonna go. But I honestly love this chapter. It was a fantastic chapter. It was a quick read, but yet it felt like you were getting somewhere, right? With some of these Onigashima chapters and the last couple ones, I felt like, the whole Yamato thing, and it just felt slow and sluggish, and it's like, so far on the Onigashima part, it's felt very much like the fake whatever, that town, that phony baloney town that they had in Bleach when they were fighting the top 3 of Roncar. It was just all over the place, and it was ridiculous. The pacing wise, that's all I'm saying, is the pacing feels very inconsistent. It's like you're either going in, 75 miles an hour or 25, and it's like, I'm not sure what's going on. You could say Marineford was a little bit like that, but, I think we need to get to that, that tragic point, so we can actually start seeing the chaos and actually start feeling like a war, because towards the end of Marineford felt very much like a war. And considering in Wano we didn't really have that setup for the war. I mean, maybe the Red Scabbards going onto the boat probably was the most warlike to me, but pretty much other than that, it hasn't really felt like it. So, anyways, I'm really excited for Chapter 1000, really excited for the future of making these videos and stuff. Hopefully I'll be making more consistent videos and all that. So, anyways, see you guys till next time, and have a great one.